Do you run group coaching calls and want to take them to the next level? Maybe you struggle with some awkward pauses and can't figure out how to make them super engaging. Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you my 6 best tips to run amazing group coaching calls. And by the end of this, you should be ready to rock and roll with your own group. If you don't know who I am, my name is Anj Bourgeois, and I created a company called Catching Made Simple, where I've coached over 100 catchers online and run a group coaching call every single week. And before that, I ran multiple group coaching calls every single day and was trained specifically on communication on how to run great calls. So all that being said, let's jump in to the 6 tips that I have for you. The first tip is number 1, smile and have energy. If you don't have energy, or if you look like you're hating your life being there, guess what? They're not going to like it. You need to have energy. You need to have tonality and go up and down in excitement. You need to fill the screen with your body. If you just sit here and talk like this, it's not going to be very fun, especially if it's monotone like this. You need to have variety, go up, go down, use your hands, fill up the screen, especially when we are virtual. They need to feel the energy coming through the screen. One thing that I also do to help with this is I have a standing desk. You can see I'm standing right now. I can go side to side, and that automatically increases my energy. The second tip that I have is have an agenda. You can say something as simple as, today we are going to, and then fill in the blank. If you have an agenda, that gives them a roadmap for where we're going to go, and that gives them clarity and puts them at ease because they know that you have a plan coming into the call. It sounds simple, but it makes a world of difference. Number 3, depending on how familiar the group is, it can be helpful to do a quick introduction. Now, the thing that you want to be careful of is that that introduction doesn't take up the entire call. You want to be able to actually get into the meat of whatever you're going over that day pretty quickly. But if the people don't know each other and it's a fairly small group, then it's worth taking the time to introduce each other. And what I do with catchers on my calls is I have them go around, say their name, their age, what their biggest challenge is, and any big wins that they've had in the last week. And then that information I then use to plug into whatever I'm teaching for that day. And if there's a common theme that I keep seeing pop up, then that means we'll probably talk about that on the call because that's what the people are facing right then. And if you have a really big group, then you can just have them throw it into the chat, and then you can still get the information and everyone can get to know each other a little bit more too. My 4th tip is something that I learned the easy way because I was taught it in the hard way because I did this wrong. And what the tip is not doing a Hail Mary with your questions. You need to call one person by their name. And pro tip, say their name at the beginning of the question so that then they know that you're going to call on them and they can come off mute. Because if you ask the question and then call on someone real quick, then there's going to be that awkward pause while you see them leaning in, trying to find where the mute button is so that they can come off mute and actually answer the question. So don't ask general questions to the group. Ask one question to one person and say their name at the beginning. The 5th tip that I have to run great group calls is see if you can do something that you all can do together. Now, if you're a sports coach, that might look like doing movement drills. I love movement drills because the biggest problem that most youth athletes have is movement problems. And movement problems are really easy to coach online. That means you can say that we're going to do a drill. Here's what it looks like. Then you have them do it, and then you can coach, and then everyone can do all these movement drills together. It's really great. If you're not coaching sports, then you can have them all do an exercise or an activity, but try to incorporate something where they're doing something. They're not just sitting on the call. And tip number 6 is a structure that you can use over and over and over, whether it's drills or activities or whatever. But it's a really simple 4-step structure. Number 1, you're going to teach whatever it is you're doing, which means that you are going to demonstrate it to everyone. Number 2, you're going to do it together. Now you've taught it, they know what it is. Now you do it all together. You can continue to coach through that. And then as we move on to number 3, that's where you don't do it anymore, but you come up and you watch and you give feedback. Again, this is especially effective if you're doing any sort of sports coaching where you're doing movements online. You can give correction personalized to the person by their name, and that is insanely valuable for them. If you're not coaching sports, be creative and figure out how to give live feedback as they're doing something. And then the 4th thing, again, this is great, especially for youth athletes, is do it in a competition. This is especially great if they are in sports because typically they love to compete, but you can also do this with whatever else you're coaching in a group setting as well. So for the drill or for the activity, teach it, do it together, then you watch them and give them feedback, and then do a competition. Those are my 6 tips on running a great group call. I hope that they help you run a great group call for yourself. If you liked this video, then you'll probably like this video right up here. I'm Anj Bourgeois. Let's win together.